Hey folks, welcome back to the channel. In this video, I'll be doing an unboxing and first impressions of the Lumix S5IIX. Interesting name. Now, as you may have gathered, over the past few months or so, I've been trying out different cameras on this channel to get a sense for which would be the next replacement for my current studio camera within my environment. And so I started off by testing the Sony FX30, and you were able to get a sense of my impressions as well as me putting together some cinema rigs for it, even though I primarily utilize it in the sense of making content. Right now I'm recording this video off of my legacy Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera 4K. I almost thought the Sony FX30 was the option I was going for until I realized that essentially there was a camera out there for a similar price point that offers a bit more in terms of performance and longevity. So with that being said, let's go ahead and dive into it. All right, so unboxing this camera, I'll go ahead and open the top. Looks like there's some information about the Lumix line series or whatnot. I'll move that to the side. All right, just some warranty information and information on how to register the product. Okay. All right, so it does come wrapped pretty nicely. Under all of this is the actual camera itself. I'll set that to the side just for a moment. And then let's see, off to the side here, I see the charger brick just slid out. And let's see, the charging cable, USB to USB-C. And let's see, it looks like we still have some other stuff in here. You also get a battery, so nice. Like there's one last thing in the box. That being said, nothing else left. And this is a Lumix strap. Nice. So yeah, here we go with the actual camera itself. First time getting my hands on it, and I like how it's coated by this rubber texture around it in between the rubber gripness that you have when it comes to holding the camera. You can also see it along the front here. It's a nice grippable texture. It definitely feels as if you're holding a camera with this viewfinder here that you would typically see in a photography sense. Pretty cool, pretty cool. Let's see, we'll just take a look here. It looks like, yeah, it feels good. The black portion of it, everywhere that you see black outside of this grippable material, seems to be made of a metal, essentially. Outside of this door, I think this door right here for the SD card slot is plastic, but yeah, let's go ahead and check out the ports. So what we have over here is, just some grip covers for these ports on this side, which we have the 3.5mm headphone jack right here, as well as a microphone jack, as well as the headphone jack here. And then if I open up this other flap, we have the HDMI port, full-size HDMI. And then we have a USB-C port for whether that's for camera controls or just recording externally. So that's nice. I gotta say I'm not too much a fan of the grips when it comes to covering the ports here, just because somebody out there that's probably had this for a lot longer than clearly me. I'm just getting my hands on it, but perhaps they can chime in as to whether or not this holds up over time. But me and flaps, when it comes to whether that's a small rig V-mount battery or something, I just feel like that's something that's easy to wear and tear, as opposed to the ports that we saw over on the Sony FX30. But yeah. Over here we have a menu dial to be able to navigate some of the menu settings, so that's pretty cool. Feels good as well. Also has that arrow function built in, so that's nice. At the top you have the record function. You can get into your different camera modes through this little gear icon up here. You have 3 easy to access buttons at the top: white balance, ISO, and not sure what this third one is. And then it looks like this is a wheel up here that you can utilize to adjust any of those values right there. So that should be interesting to take a look at. If I look on this side, looks like this is you have dual SD card slots. So that's pretty cool, but I did notice that you know, in comparison to the Sony FX30 where they had dual SD card slots slash CFS card slots. This doesn't have that functionality. It just has the dual SD card slots, which I think for most people is more than fine. Down here at the bottom is where the battery door is, and similar to Sony, you know, it has that lock mechanism to where it springs open, but the battery will be held in by this little fob right here. So with that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and slide in the battery. You see, battery does not come out when you do that. And I'll go ahead and cut this camera on. If I take a look here, I can see that it's already on. It says below lens information is set. Ooh, that is a bright screen, I have to say. I'm not used to seeing the font that huge on on a camera like that. Looks nice. It's a whole bunch of information, don't get me wrong, but it's big enough to where it's easily visible. So let's take a look at this menu system. Or before we even dive into the menu system, you know, the fact that this also has a rotating display, which is nice. So whether you're out and shooting, need to tilt it from the sun or something, you have all of that flexibility, as well as the ability to fold it inwards and just utilize the screen from the back of the camera. I'll go into the menu and let's see. To get to the shooting setting, I would slide it over here. So done that. And interesting, it looks like there's a lot of options that I would certainly have to go through in order to get familiar with what all is available here, but so far it looks nice. I like the black and yellow theme, black, white, and yellow theme. So one of the most interesting things about this camera is the ability to film in 6K 30 FPS open gate, which is pretty freaking dope. Yeah, so if I was to take off this cover right here for the sensor, we can see that we have that full frame sensor right there. Really nice. I'll put this back on. But yeah, you can film in 6K 30 or 6K 24, full 6K open gate. So that'll be really interesting. If you're not familiar with what open gate is, essentially it gives you the ability to reposition or reframe your whatever you're shooting in post with so much more flexibility, because not only can you record horizontal content that you would typically do in a 16:9 ratio, but you can also record in a 9:16 aspect. You can get the clips that you would need for a 9:16 aspect ratio, like for Instagram reels, shorts, or so forth, making vertical content that much easier to edit in post-production. So pretty dope, pretty dope, pretty dope. I'm gonna go ahead and move these accessories out of the way. First impressions is that it looks pretty good. I'm not too sure what the dials over here are for. Yeah, I'm not too familiar with what this is. Perhaps this has something to do with timer, it looks like. Not 100% sure. Perhaps the built-in viewfinder could come in handy. Possibility. Oh, that's sleek. So that's something I didn't realize came on this camera. I didn't realize that by itself, you had the ability to utilize this hot shoe mount. I thought because the viewfinder was right here, there was exactly no ports on the camera other than the one at the bottom that you would utilize to secure this into, say, a monitor mount or something. You actually have the ability to slide this little chip out and actually leverage that hot shoe mount to place, whether that's an SSD mount or a monitor on top of this. That opens up the door to flexibility right there. So that's pretty cool. Overall, I have to say this is pretty clean, nice to hold. It's a decent size. I would say it's probably the same size, if not a little bigger than the FX30 that I had on the channel recently. But with that being said, let me go ahead and throw a lens on this guy. So I don't actually have any native L-mount lenses for this camera. So what I ended up doing was picking up a mount adapter from Viltrox. This is the L-mount to EF lens adapter so that I can utilize my Canon EF Sigma 18-35mm on this Lumix S5IIX, or however you say that. So I'll go ahead and install this on the camera. Usually you just line up the red here and then twist. All right, so sweet. Go ahead and take off the lens cap. And I'll now go ahead and install the lens. And it is installed. I'll go ahead and take a look now. That's pretty interesting. this little menu that you can utilize to verify your subject is in focus. I'll just go ahead and make this as big as possible. Oh, I do notice with this lens, I do get some vignetting when it is zoomed all the way or opened all the way up at 18%. So this is what the Lumix S5 Mark IIX looks like with the Sigma 18 to 35 millimeter lens attached to it, even though this lens is a little beat up, you know. Yeah, this is essentially what it looks like. Overall, it's nice. It feels good to hold. I love the fact that you still have this articulating screen going to allow you to be able to see what you're looking at, whether you're recording in front of the camera and it's facing you. You still have that nice screen to help you out. Viewfinder, if that's something that you find useful, you know, pretty cool, pretty solid. Again, this primarily just an unboxing. I'll have a later video comparing why I went with this over the Sony FX30 and so forth. If you are curious as to where I picked up this camera from, I will have some links in the description regarding this camera. But as always, folks, thanks for tuning in. I hope you found this video helpful, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.